Welcome to Immigration Talk with renowned attorney Mayra Joli. Hello, I am Grace Solorzano, and welcome back to Immigration Talk with Mayra Joli. On this episode, we will be discussing the whys and hows of properly notifying of a change of address. The answer as to why it is so important for your desired path to legalization is coming up shortly. But first, we go to Mayra Joli to explain how the process must be completed.
Hello, I am Mayra Joli, and today I want to talk to you about how important it is to correctly notify of a change of address. A matter that sounds so simple, but if not completed in a proper fashion, may cause serious setbacks in achieving your desired legal status. Let's begin with the basic. Did you know that most non-U.S. citizens must report a change of address within 10 days of moving within the United States or its territories? To this rule, there are only 3 exceptions, and that is 1, if you have a visa status A, which is issued to diplomats. 2, a visa status G, which is issued to official government representative for international organizations. And the third and final exception is if you happen to be a non-immigrant who does not possess a visa, came here with a passport, but he's only planning to stay in the U.S. for no more than 30 days. If you do not find yourself fitting into any of these 3 categories, then note, you must report your change of address. So here is how you will go about it. Simply contact the U.S. Department of Homeland Security by phone, 1-800-375-5283, to request that form AR-11, the official change of address form, be sent to you by mail.
Thank you, Mayra. And now that we understand what must be done in order to properly notify of a change of address, please explain to us exactly why it is so important to do this.
It is important because the consequences of not submitting a change of address is that the person can be notified that they have to appear in front of an immigration judge and they don't show up. If they don't show up, they're going to end up with an order of deportation in absentia or a removal in absentia, which means that they will have to then hire an attorney to reopen the proceedings and explain to the court why they didn't show up. And the judge is going to make a determination if indeed that absence is justified.
All because of something so seemingly minor.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
If they don't go ahead and submit this form in months, weeks, whatever time goes by, what's the worst case scenario? What's the worst that can happen?
The person will encounter random stop by an officer for a traffic ticket, and they will end up knowing or finding out that the person has an order of deportation outstanding. They will call the Department of Homeland Security and they're going to end up being detained.
So that order of deportation all of a sudden, because of this failure to notify the department of a change of address.
That's right.
How does that happen? I mean, talk to us a little bit about the time sequence.
Well, what happens is this. If the person, suppose the person has an application pending, they file some documentation which they are trying to acquire some benefits from the Department of Homeland Security. If the application for the benefit is denied, then the person is notified that they have to go in front of the judge. This is what happens. The service will have, when they have an application of somebody who is in the United States, a non-immigrant who is in the United States and is applying for benefit, and that benefit is denied, that the Department of Homeland Security doesn't have the authority to issue an order of removal. They have to transfer the file to the courts, and the courts and then call them to see if the determination denying the benefits were appropriate. In other words, it's like a second opportunity for the person just to go. The judge will have the novel review just to see if indeed the service was right denying the benefit. But if the person doesn't show, the person could be that the person didn't know that they have to be in front of the judge. But that's why the change of address is so important. The service have to be notified of whatever it is that you're living now, because whatever actions they take is going to impact in the future.
It impacts the case as a whole, but what about the benefit or the petitions that are requested of that beneficiary?
That too, because if the person is requesting something as simple as, let's say, employment ID card, an employment authorization. If the employment authorization is sent, first they send a letter notifying the beneficiary that it's been approved. Then they send the card If that card doesn't get to the person won't be able to get a social security number, the person won't be able to get a driver license, and then problems will gonna snowball at the time. By the time they try to fix it, it's gonna require a lot of money, it's gonna require time, and a lot of tears that the family is gonna have to shed.
Good point. And all for the, what is it again? AR-11.
The AR-11, absolutely, the AR-11.
What about the judges? Like, what is their reaction when they're reviewing a case in court and they see that something like this hasn't been taken care of? Do they look at it as a sort of neglect, maybe?
They do. They look at it as a totally complete disregard for the laws and regulations of the United States. It's something simple, but it's a rule. You have to comply to it. You have to notify. You have to tell the court. You have to tell the service, where are you now? The thing is that they will see if you don't care about complying with that little section, and which is so simple as just requiring telling us where are you living. They will see that you don't care for any other regulations or laws of the United States.
That you're not on top of it as you claim to be.
Exactly.
As important as it is to you, maybe perhaps on that court date.
Exactly.
Okay. So we're clear that non-U.S. citizens must complete their AR-11 forms. But what about citizens? There are some cases where they too have to complete these forms, correct?
Yes, there are cases, for example, if the citizen happens to have a charge for a sexual violation or a sexual crime, arrested or either convicted or pled guilty to, is considered sexual predator. Those people need to have a specific regulations in which they have to register. They have to register their addresses because they cannot be living in any community if they are considered sexual predators. If that person doesn't comply with that requirement, they could be detained and put in jail. Actually, they could end up in jail. And in other words, there are other instances also. American citizens that are petitioned for the beneficiary, if they are filing the petition, the spouses, the children, if they are filing the petition, they have to notify immigration where they're living in order for them to receive notification and reference to that application that they file.
So it's not just, well, the explanation about sexual predators makes total sense because we need to know exactly where they're living, but also in other cases, totally unrelated, also people who have claimed their spouses, who perhaps maybe live in other countries, they must too notify of their change of address.
Absolutely, they do, because they're spouses of the relatives that are living overseas. And all the contact comes from the Department of Homeland Security in the United States. So if that person doesn't receive notification or they change addresses and they didn't notify the service, any correspondence that will be sent to them will not be going to the person overseas.
And they will delay their process,
Absolutely.
their spouse's process.
It will totally delay it, and keep in mind that in immigration, a delay means that you're going back to the line again.
Oh, that's a long line.
And that is a long line.
Thank you, Mayra. Thank you so much for clearing that up. Well, let's hope that all of our viewers go out and fill out their AR-11 forms, correct?
Correct.
Their AR-11 forms as soon as possible. And although that does it for this session of Immigration Talk with attorney Mayra Joli, we'll be back with another informative podcast very soon. Remember, if you wish to schedule a consultation with Mayra, you may do so by contacting her office staff at 305-722-2828. Her office is located at 1221 Brickell Avenue, unit number 1210 in Miami, Florida, zip code 33131. Until next time.